Hi, we're still playing Dungeons and Dragons. I'm tormented by gnomes. This is Lemon Kiwi. This is the third solo mini episode tonight that's been like pretty roleplay heavy and dramatic until I just lost my freaking mind and forgot how everything works. Len, congrats on the big news today.
Thanks.
Super excited for you. Still rocking the
whatever's yeah.
I don't know, it's like circuit board pattern. I don't know what you call it.
I don't know, I guess.
Yep. In the holy city of Brontha, where Garnet was born years ago, now 3 miracles of the Phoenix have saved Brontha or its people afar by the power of Zalar. In Athalor's court, where the council of the priest king and his advisors meet, the lost child Garnet and her master, Ika Elnau, have come to plead on behalf of peace, to stop a war between the city of Brontha and the tribe of Athalor. A war engineered by forces planning their destruction and the overthrow of Ioth Academy itself. It has been a long day. They started the meeting at noon. And aside from presenting their case and speaking in the echoing halls of this holy place, there's been a lot of paperwork and a lot of depositions and a lot of questions. Elnau with charts and maps and scrolls explaining things, because the council demands to have a very thorough understanding of the situation. They're not willing to just say, oh yeah, it was an accident, that's fine. They want to know. They want the details. And every advisor wants different details. And so Garnet has interjected effectively because she is smart and she can, handle these sorts of things. But you've also just sat through hour after hour after hour of laborious detail. Finally, they called a recess after 3 hours of this. And everybody scattered to go stretch their legs, to go grab some food, to get more notes, etc. And as Garnet was working on her own notes, one of the council members, who had not been formally announced or introduced, crossed the court to approach her, interrupting her studies. And he assured you that, regardless of the others, he would be on your side in this. And he said it much better than that, but, brought to you by Angry Orchard. He said, regardless of what the others might do and how they may be misled, the honor and blessings of the Tohsaka family have lifted the city from destruction. And you have my word that I will always support you. After all, it should be your father who's sitting on that throne.
Can I roll religion for Girl Boss plus? Was my dad in line to be the?
There's no direct succession. It's kind of like
maybe favored to be.
Yeah. He wasn't at first, because before the second miracle occurred, he was very much a politician. He was a good person and a man of faith, but he wasn't somebody who ran around like channeling the light to destroy enemies or preaching to great crowds or stuff. He was mostly dealt in the courts. He was part of the administration. It kept him super, super busy. But then on the day you were born, Marason was supposed to be holding the wall against the armies of the Iron Empire, as they were just coming down with an enormous army trying to crush Brontha once and for all. But she couldn't be there because she was giving birth to you at that exact moment. So your father, the diplomat, the bureaucrat, took her place on the wall. And while he wasn't giving the orders, he was still standing there just to represent the family and to give whatever aid he could in the middle of this chaos. And it was he who prayed to Zalar the moment that you were born and the moment that the Phoenix descended upon their armies and saved the city. So when that happened, he went from being like, yeah, he's kind of up there. He's, super involved in the government and the church and stuff. He became a much more significant figure. You were raised somewhat aware of these things, but also there was so much focus on you as a person of religious significance, of holy significance, that you weren't always directly tied into all of the political maneuvering of the church. Because again, if you think about the priest king, it's like the Pope, where they're chosen from amongst all the highest ranking priests. And his father was the priest king, but his father had 11 sons, and he was just number 9 out of them. So he was well regarded. He's somebody people knew, but that changed when the second miracle happened, and then when he died. I hope that answers your question.
Yes. And I think I want to see, I feel like I'm probably getting rizzed up in a non-rizz way. I'm getting hot air like blown at me. Can I roll a religion to see if there's a way to test his loyalty to my family?
Sure, go ahead and roll. The middle of all this. I mean, you've got some inspos, but you have an hour to get through, so we'll see.
Yeah. Okay, I'm good. I'll just look up from my notes, and I'm like in a not so hot mood. I'm, had an argument with Elle now. It's been hours and hours. I'm exhausted, and I don't know. And this is my break time, so I ain't trying to talk to nobody. So as he's saying this, I probably give like a smile, but not a genuine smile. It's very like, and but he leaves off with that, and I'll say, yeah, he had a bright future ahead of him. We'll just kind of look at him like, is there anything else?
And he left a bright legacy behind. Whatever help you need, navigating through the high courts or for your cause, it would be my honor to furnish it.
And by the looks of this meeting, out of character, are things going well for our cause or not well? Or like it's still getting pushed back?
Roll, I don't know, legalese? Another insight? A history?
I'm down for history. Oh!
Natural 20. Holy crap. Okay. So it's kind of tough to say because they're playing their cards close to their chest. But the fact that they're grilling for so much detail and the type of questions that you're going for, right now, at the beginning, the general sentiment is in favor of war, 5-3, with no votes have been called yet, but you're just you got a natural 20. So you're gauging, this person's asking these kinds of questions. This person's actually, no, it's 4-3. Because one of the pro-war people is Marison. And it's 4-4. She has your back 100%.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you've got her. So you've already moved one person across the aisle. The king, give me insight. And because I'm going to give you information no matter what, but okay, a 21. All right, so I'm going to move everybody from their places real quick and just completely mess with the arrangement in order to give a visual on this. The people in the middle will be undecided when I'm done sorting them. The people on the left side near you are against the war, and the people on the right side are in favor of the war. Priest King Pothinus is currently in favor of the war. He sees it as his duty to his people to avenge them and, more importantly, protect them. He feels like if he didn't go to war to punish these wrongs and just make sure it didn't happen again, he'd be letting them down. Marison was in favor of the war because they tried to kill her and her daughter, and just when she found out that you were alive. But after your conversation last night, you've already moved her. Juan Ray, who's the counselor, the person who's in charge of relationship with the common folk, does not want a war because it's going to be devastating to those folks. Hamaka, Pothinus's wife, is against the war, even though he's in favor of it. This guy started out neutral, found out you were against it, and now he's against it too. The magister who's in charge of learning, like the wizard, the one wizard in a city of priests and such, is undecided, neutral. The spy master is similarly undecided. These two people are looking carefully at the evidence that's being presented to make their decision, and the rest of the room. The warden, who enforces a lot of the law, is in favor of the war, but also a little bit taken with you, not in like a ooh way, but like a sort of celebrity slight sense of awe way. So I'm going to put it a little more to your side, but like not all the way. Wallagosh, the Owlin, is an absolute Pothinus fanboy. So in his court, the Dragonborn Grand Diplomat is in favor of the war. They have to secure their interests, and they can't show weakness on the global scale. The dude who's partially Sphinx is the treasurer, and he's undecided. Am I missing somebody? Oh, I don't think I'm missing anybody. You're cool, who's the royal enforcer, who's also in charge of enforcing the law, like near the inlands, is against the war. So this is how it lines up, because you don't actually get a vote.
We're winning.
You're winning. Just need to get a few more of these people over, and if you can get some of these other folks to move over, then that's good, especially the Priest King, but it is what it is. So that's where things stand with regard to your question. How does that affect your next course of action?
Well, probably, since he wants to help me out and stuff, we'll probably request that he helps me convince the undecided folk, or ask him if there's any. I guess I don't know if there's more stuff for us to present, so I don't want to ask him about advice on that. Probably just what would it take to convince the last 4 undecided council members.
Seer is moved almost entirely by knowledge and information. The more of it he has, the better he can act, and the happier he is. Sistuthras, the warden, is very much about honor and justice. Convincing her that this is unjust will do you well. Our Magister has no great stake in this, aside from knowing whether or not she needs to be prepared. Her greatest concern is being cheated or lied to. If she feels that she's being played, she'll turn against you, even if it goes against her own self-interests. As for Tycharis, Tycharis is a collector. Tell me, blessed child, you study at the Academy. I'm certain that you've come across objects of strange magical quality in nature. If you were to catch Tycharis during a recess and engage him in discussion on that, he'll probably be more favored towards you. He's very much wrapped up in the treasury and very little else.
All right. Well, I just need 1 or 2 more votes to really make this guaranteed, and
it'd be best if we can move the Priest King as well. If he feels, because he has the final say, if he feels that the entire council or enough of the council is against him, he'll heed their wisdom. But it remains his choice.
Would he really go against the majority of the council?
The stronger the majority, the better, blessed child.
And why do you want to help me so much? You don't really know me.
I know that the light of the sun shines on you. And he reaches up, places his arm, his gauntleted arm, on the sort of railing right there, unbuckles his gauntlet, and pulls it aside. And on his hand is a far fainter, far smaller version of the exact mark that you bear.
Would I roll religion to figure this out?
You could do religion, yeah.
We banging 20s
Wow!
today.
You took all of Crowan's rolls. You just stole every single one of his rolls. Roll 20 was like, no, you can have this shit and this shit and this shit and this shit. We're saving the rest for the last hour. Oh. He's an Aasimar. They're extremely rare. And he's not as strong as you. His blessing is nowhere near as strong as yours. But the blessing of Xalar has passed down from Calor through the generations. It manifests occasionally throughout the city and throughout the Bronthan people. But again, always in a very small, minor way. Your spiritual blessing is much stronger than his, but he's an Aasimar.
She'll probably like notice it and put her symboled hand to her chest and kind of do like a more respectful head bow nod in response.
He returns it slightly deeper and places the gauntlet back on him. You have the mandate of heaven. And if I were to stand against that, I would stand against Brontha's best interests.
Is he flirting with me?
Do insight.
Just curious.
You know, he's trying to keep it professional, but he's not entirely succeeding.
She's in a better mood now that she's getting all these compliments and riz happening. So she'll before she was kind of like holding her notes and like half paying attention and seeming like I'm busy visually.
Headphones on, fuck off.
Yeah, just putting one earphone out to now dropping both earphones and putting her notes down. And I don't really know what else he wants.
Oh, you can dismiss him. He said his part. He came here to say what he needed to say. He gave you some helpful advice. It's perfectly fine for the scene to end and for everyone to go back into the next session, unless you need to talk to Elle now.
We'll ask him how, since he brought up the whole priest king thing and how he wished my dad was in place. We'll bring up that comment again of when you said, you know, my dad should have been priest king and all that. Are you okay with how are things been run here in my absence?
Things may be as they must be, but they are not as they should be.
How should they be?
Those who delivered the city from darkness with the outright sign of the Phoenix Lord's blessing should lead the people.
And who should that be?
He doesn't answer, but he gives you a bow and a kneel. No, you got a history check on that. That specific knightly gesture that he did it had the trappings of fealty to it, of how you address your leader, your commander. He didn't want to say it out loud, but he's giving you the whole, I know who it should be. I think you know who I think it should be.
Do I know if there's ever been a woman?
Yeah. King, the king of Brontha is a gender neutral title.
Okay.
What happened in this specific case was that the old priest king died after your father died. So everyone was like, obviously, Amosis is going to be the next priest king, but then he got killed. And so he was no longer eligible, obviously. He wasn't available anymore. So Pothinus was selected.
So he just says he doesn't like the priest king because he thinks someone blessed with light or whatever should do it instead. He hasn't said anything action-wise that he hasn't liked.
Yeah.
Okay.
He hasn't said, you want to do a treason with me?
Well, smile and is very, very appreciative of this.
Mm-hmm.
She hasn't had someone bow or give this much respect in a while, so
Mm-hmm.
you're
I
my new
forgot how
best
nice that
friend.
feels.
Yeah, you're my new best friend. And she'll kind of like, I guess she's sitting and she'll lean over on
Mm-hmm.
her lap and be more subtly speaking to him and
Mm-hmm.
say, well, is there anything specific you've been unhappy with? Anything the Priest King hasn't satisfied for you or the people?
It would ill behoove me to speak with ingratitude within Calor's very court.
Would you like to go elsewhere with Riz?
Once the business of the day is done, I'm at your service.
Well, nod
With
her head
Riz.
and with Riz. This is great. She's in a much better mood now. And anything else?
Nope. I mean, honestly, he was going to dismiss himself with that genuflect. That was going to be his like cool outro, but he stuck around.
Okay, we'll wave him off, and but in a very happy wave instead of like the shoo wave that she's been giving people. Begone, peasant. We'll return to her notes with a smile, and if she has to discuss anything with Elle now, she's doing so with a smirk and a much jovial mood.
All right, I'm gonna roll an insight check to see if voided out Elle now even picks up on that. Nope.
Don't care.
she's lost in the sauce. She's focused entirely on like, because the Academy, when all these terrible things have been happening over the years, the Academy has been keeping records. And that's what Elle now brought with her, because she knew that the bureaucrats were going to want records. I expect closing arguments this evening in another few hours. If the council is undecided, deliberation may continue. It would be in our best interest and the interest of the Academy to move to a decisive and successful end as quickly as possible.
Is there anything else that needs to be said that we haven't said already?
If there's anything I've learned as a member of the Muyen Theory, is that sometimes you say the same thing 50 times in 50 different ways before it actually breaks through. Be prepared to deliver closing remarks.
Okay.
What matters most is not the specific logical arguments that you make, but that you move them.
Okay.
All right. And back to the boring crap. Does Garnet interfere, assist with, meddle with the boring crap? If not, does she take that time to do other things that we need to resolve? Because you've been given some sauce. You've been given some juice. You could use
probably
that.
Assist with the.
Okay.
I probably have an extensive infernal knowledge, so if there's any like knowledge or the evidence of the Infernals, if I need to support that with my own account of what I've seen, especially like the jester down below, there's probably some accounts of me interacting with Infernals where Elle now wasn't there. I haven't told her. Well, I would have told her during these prep meetings.
Right.
But yeah, assisting with my own infernal accounts.
Seer the Ganassi will just sort of say, he'll run you through that whole thing. It's like, so if this is a huge, gigantic, century-spanning conspiracy, what is each major player's role in this? Also, are we talking about Mirek? Out of character?
I said at the beginning that Mirek was dead.
Right.
Why I called him Orn, the dragon god, was dead.
That's all out in the air. Okay, great. So Elnau's just going to go ahead and that might bring up your void magic, which she would not do without asking you first.
Are they asking how he was killed?
Yeah, that's going to be important for a potential war with the dragon tribes.
So no one knows that well, like, she blew up a fucking mountain. Isn't that, like, super public knowledge that she's a void shadow user?
Yes. So she can put it on herself that she did it and leave you out of it. Would you like her? She'll ask you if you want her to do that.
We can word it in a way where it's not a lie. We can say that he
Yes.
was disposed of using void magic, which would eradicate his existence and therefore, like, remove the possibility of him being resurrected or remade or reformed and whatever. We don't have to say like a specific person did it. It's just this is how it was done.
Well, it was a united effort. Some of the most powerful archmages of the academy joined forces. So a couple of times they call you up like a witness in court to say, okay, explain to us what happened. They do it for what happened with Myrick, and they do it for the involvement of the different Infernals. They also, and this is something where I'm going to say it's either a scene or I'll at least need an explanation from you. They all want to know the official account of where you've been and what happened to you. It's salient to this conversation, but they also just want to know.
And she'll make this as, whether you want me to roll performance or not, she's gonna have to play up the victim shit here, although she's very much over what happened, or at least isn't you know, into it as much. And while I was captured against my will after our group was attacked, and I was kept I don't know, insert amount of time where, and we'll describe the shitty meals, the shitty conditions. Won't go into any magic training. We'll just say that I was kept as a pet and tortured. I'd rather not recount the details of that unless you feel absolutely necessary. And when my mother eventually arrived to save me, he made me believe that we were being attacked once again by the machine prince, or something was attacking us, and he sent me away to Ioth Academy, where he felt I would be hidden and safe from that situation. And I didn't find out it was my mother until I had met her recently. And I stayed at the academy and kept quiet, even from the Bronthans, in fear of my safety and that I was being hunted by the Machine Prince and his allies. And I didn't want to bring any danger to Brontha if I were to my presence to be, or for me to return and my presence to be known.
+1 XP. Is that true?
That sounds pretty true to me. Does it sound true to you?
It has. You're the one who has lived this character's life, and as long as that is part of why she never made contact, then it's true.
Well,
like that's I'm asking.
Oh, the contact part,
right? Like the whole, why didn't you reach out to anybody? Why did you go away? And you've had plenty of time to think about this, so I'm not going to gotcha if this isn't true. I'll let you tweak it if you want to, because I know
I can roll a deception because there is a lot being left out of that story, and that's fair to roll that.
Okay. And do persuasion or performance for the rest of it. Okay. All right. And Elnal will go ahead and talk. And she's a lot more blunt and a lot more flat about things. And she just goes up and says, I recognize that the art that I practice is incompatible with the belief system of this city-state. And as I proved in the Battle of Mount Keithior, I wield this power against the Infernals. And whether or not you approve of my methods, I hold firm in my motives. And then she goes on to explain what happened to her when the Knights of Terra Nimbus came for her, and she tried to stop them and used this shadow magic and then was left behind. And Myrick found her. She doesn't go through the rest of her life and her training. She just kind of goes, she just says, my experience was similar to Garnet's. later we both discovered he engineered this. It was he who arranged for the death of Amosis. He intervened to ensure his death. She doesn't say he intervened and cut him off from Zalar's power, because she doesn't exactly want to say that around here. But she explains that part of it, and like some of the more conspiracy level stuff. You hit him with the personal stuff. She explains where he fits into all this nonsense. Are there any specific notes you want to bring up about the Infernals? You don't have to. You can just say Garnet says everything she knows about the Infernals. But if there's any points you want to emphasize or downplay, that can help shift the tide one way or another.
Well, just probably explain the different powers of the Infernals and where their abilities extend, whether it's the Herald getting information from dreams and spying in that regard, to Jester being able to take control and manipulate the minds of people, and while still existing actively at the school. Who else we got? We got the Snake, who is but mention that he's trying to manipulate people into joining his side, or being with the Infernals essentially, and that has been successful already at the school, and which stress that's why the school is so important to protect right now, because of not just myself, but there's children from all types of nations, and important ones like Onderud, like Batholo, like it names the name drops whatever important students would be there. Okay, we got Chester, we got Harold, we got Cetheus. Who else am I missing? Is that it? The Machine Prince. I would the fact that he has machines at the school that have been spying around. There's probably machines in Brontha that he's controlling, and any details of what I know of how this is working. What are the limits? What are the capabilities? She did see the Machine Prince in person, but I don't know if I would have gathered like what I would have gathered from that would be useful to mention, while not trying to say, hey, I met up with the Machine Prince. But yeah, any details you think would be relevant about their powers and how scary they are, to basically emphasize they should be the focus, not fucking Batholo. Like, those guys are ants. Infernals are the problem.
Okay, give me persuasion or a like knowledge of Infernals. You have a skill, you have an ability that gives you advantage on that. Like, give me either lay down the lore on them or hit him in the heart. Pick a skill.
Roll,
what was that?
A normal roll, or
well, if it has to do with Infernals and you have a class bonus, you can use that.
Class bonus,
like from taking classes.
Oh, like you want me to roll a history or persuasion?
I would take Arcana here.
Okay. 3 nat 20.
Just like a blackboard swings in from nowhere, hat, pointer. All right, nerds, educate yourselves. And she just breaks it down from soup to nuts.
And I'm sure like Elnaus covered the ally system of how they're all intertwined, and Orn, the reason why we killed Orn was because of that affiliation and stuff.
So if the Academy is such a source of spiritual peril, why not dissolve it? If the knowledge there and the people there are so susceptible to temptation, would it not be safer to dissipate it, to break it apart, to take that knowledge elsewhere and put it under more reclusive guard, less access, or more spiritually sound guardians? It seems like this academy just keeps leading over and over to corruption and downfall.
And I believe that's due to the missing Book of Dawn. Everything fell off a cliff ever since our precious artifact has been gone, and I wouldn't say the ultimate solution is to send all of these children home to their nations. Not all nations are as powerful and blessed as Brontha, and I would want to see those children, my friends, protected under the Dawn magic sphere. And there are many Bronthans at Ioth Academy as well, and we all have bright futures there. And I think Ioth Academy is a special place to protect because of that knowledge. And I think there is a way to resist that corruption, but the root of that corruption is around the Book of Dawn.
Mhm.
And would probably reassure them again about all of our knowledge of where the Book of Dawn is and how confident we are in that mission. Have we talked about the mission to neutralize the book, or have we just talked about where it is and how we approach it?
I think you've mentioned that there are a couple of different options, but given how much void magic that involves, I don't think you've gone into the technical details.
Okay. Probably just tell them that we have a plan to neutralize the book's power until we can access it, since we had a breach. The Book of Dawn was able to, cross the barrier. So we're going to have to neutralize it soon, so no one else has to be affected.
The council will discuss amongst themselves. Have you anything else to say before we convene?
If you want my honest opinion, the only things that need to die in this world are the Infernals. And the conflicts that remain after that can be solved outside of war.
Do not forget, blessed child, that death is yet another holy step within the eternal cycle. And without it, the world cannot be renewed. But to suffering, we will speak amongst ourselves. Suffering is not holy. Right, and they're going to go ahead and kick the two of you out, because the two of you neither have the rank of master nor are members of the council.
And I don't know if I need to roll Arcana for this or not, but do I understand the wards that are in the room?
Do Arcana, yeah.
Oh shit, that was advantage, but
that's fine. We take the first roll. You got 26 because you're bonkers at this. And this is something I imagine you've been analyzing the entire time, and like as you step out of the room, you're looking at everything that's involved and analyzing the magical protection and all that stuff.
Rel now just tells me if she knows. Yeah.
All right, here's what it has. Forbiddance. All planar travel is blocked. Fiends and undead take 5d10 damage every round they stay in there. Hallow.
Okay, Una's a fiend, right? Okay, that's the part that I needed to figure out. Is Una's a fiend? Tiny fiend.
Yeah, I believe Una's a fiend. Una should not go in there. But your shadows are elementals, not undead, right? That's one of the unique things about being a shadow caster. Most shadows are like dead people. So this wouldn't block your shadows, but you should definitely unsummon Una and not... Yeah, oh, I see what you're doing. You were going to send Una in there. Do not do that. Una will explode.
Yeah, that was the thought. I like to spy, but I don't have a spy tool. Meh. I will trust that I did my job right.
All right. Elle now just sort of leans up against the door. Finds some shade. The inside of that courthouse has a permanent daylight spell. So even in the middle of the night, it's day in there. And that light shines out the doors. So the two shadow mages, like the moment that she gets out of there, she just finds the nearest shadow and just rubs her eyes like, ugh.
She's looking at Elle now like very differently, and whether she cares or not, she's just angry, but not super angry, just uncomfortable and not pleased to be around her.
That's fair. She just speaks up unprompted. I think I think you made good choices in there. The strategies, the arguments that you employed, effective. Well thought out.
She'll roll her eyes and say, Athalor guides my hand, in a sarcastic way, and goes back to just reading notes and waiting.
Okay. A few minutes later, an even brighter light emanates from the windows of the church. Like extremely bright, casting weird shadows in every direction. Don't look directly at it, bright. It's not an explosion, it's not fire, it's just an incredible surge of radiance. Elle now jumps up like she just got, like somebody just tried to disintegrate her, and goes into combat mode.
I just realized that the book is invisible to everyone. Oh, fuck, I could have fucked around so much more. Reading is so important, man. Reading, man.
I like to imagine that just as this huge surge of light comes out, Garnet goes, oh, fuck.
I forgot to say that thing, and
No, it's like, I could have been messing with the book the whole time. The light slowly fades away. And a couple of minutes later, the doors swing open. And you are ushered back into the room. The entire council is in their proper seats. Everything is like much more ceremonial. All the papers have been put away. Everything's been cleaned up. This seems very official. The priest king is in his chair, his big fancy chair. He has Calor's incense censer in one hand and the staff that he used in the desert in the other hand. And you're called up not to the side bench, but in front of the book where Wallagosh, the Owlin, is standing and like giving the announcements in the notes and stuff.
Would it be super rude to just say something real quick, or can I retcon and say something at the end of my last thing?
Let's do the retcon. It'll be less rude.
Okay. At the end, after explaining all the infernal stuff, she'll say, my father Amosis wanted to protect the school. Athalor wanted to protect the school while I was trying to do so. The third miracle happened, as you would call it. And I felt my father's hand save me, and I knew he was watching over me and my mission. And I feel in my soul and my heart that this is the right thing to do. And I feel Athalor's hand guiding me. And we'll leave it at that. And
Pothinus would have hit that with a "we shall see."
Ah, fuck you.
Oh, I love when a plan comes together.
Oh, I don't know what that means. Okay.
As you walk back in, roll an insight check, please. I'm given at least one inspiration from chat.
Please.
An 11. Are we out of juice?
I'm out of luck die.
Oh, no, you're not. A luck card was played a while ago.
What's that?
You have lucky dice. You have a bonus luck dice.
Just one?
Mm-hmm.
Let's burn it.
22.
Ooh. Get it, yeah.
Okay. The mood in here has completely changed. The entire vibe is different. Something happened. Everybody's looking at you and whispering at each other, except for the priest king, who is not looking at you, finding ways to avoid looking at you. He looks shaken and super uncomfortable.
With a passive 16 perception, can I hear or anything?
No, but give me an active perception check. And I'll tell you what you hear that way. his own hand, as she said. Pothinus almost seems reluctant to get up. And finally he stands. The holy city of Brontha, sanctified by the Sunrider, protected by the wings of the Phoenix, calls upon Ioth Academy to be our mediators with the tribe of Bathotlo, to intercede and find peace.
Worked.
Yeah.
I'll give a big sigh of relief and give El now like a thumbs up or some woohoo sign.
She gives you
under
like
the,
the well done, son sort of. Damn right. Blessed child. What is your intent when this council is adjourned?
If nothing else is needed from me, Your Grace, I'd like to return to Ioth Academy to move on with our plan to neutralize the book and march north.
And if the sun smiles upon us and grants us victory, what then?
Well, we'll be at peace, and I'll get to finish my studies without a classroom blowing up. And she'll giggle and realize that this is not a funny joke, and will slowly stop
Nobody
giggling.
Laughs. And when your studies are complete,
if Brontha may welcome me back, I would like to return home. Your Grace.
he his paws, like his claws, you know, because he's got his hands aren't total lion paws, they're functional, but they definitely have fur and like claws on them. You see him just on Calor's staff, and he grinds his jaw for a moment. The holy city calls on you to welcome you home on the day of your choosing. And the sooner that day may come, the better.
Well, Grace, you can always request my counsel or my presence any day you wish. I'm a teleportation circle away, and it's trying to say that, and like, if you need me, you call me up. Like,
give me an insight check, please.
Oh, fuck. I don't care.
Yeah. All right. He's going to go ahead and call the council to a close. And there's like a moment, if you need a moment, before everybody swarms you. Well,
once he grinds his teeth and is being silent, we'll say, I hope to make Brontha, and especially my mother, proud, returning as hopefully an archmage to defend Brontha from any more infernal forces or anything that were to come harm us.
So may it be, Amosis's daughter. Dismissed.
Does Elna have any reaction to me saying like shit like archmage?
Gives you an eyeball. Is that a role they have here?
Oh, Oh, is that like principal? I thought Archmage was just like highest rank mage.
No, I mean, it is technically. It just refers to somebody who's achieved magic of the third circle. And it's one of those like master, you know, at the academy that means something specific, but you can meet someone who's not from the academy, didn't go through that school, but you still call them master. It just gets kind of wibbly wobbly outside of that. So there's definitely like some side eye on not staying at the school and not continuing your studies. More so that than the Archmage thing.
Well, I said I was gonna finish my studies, then come back. But I mean, if you want me to roll deception, she's like wants to come back, but maybe not immediately out. Like it's not really a plan. It's kind of like, oh, yeah, I'll come back.
It's fine. It's like saying we should totally hang out. Like you're not lying. Yeah. You're just not going to do anything about it.
Yeah, like she'll give her a wink when she gives her the eyebrow or the side eye about the.
It's sort of a you're staying at Ioth Academy to like teach and become one of the best mages there ever, right? She doesn't say that, but that's the vibe. Right. She's going to be almost immediately assailed by Seer, the spy master, some other people who are just going to like be, okay, well, if you're going to be dealing with this peace treaty, I know you're the Archmage, but we're going to need your chief diplomat. We're going to need to sign all these papers and we're going to make all these agreements. She's immediately swept up in bureaucracy. Your mother has been crying.
During the meeting?
Yes. When you left the room, she was fine. When you came back into the room, she has been just like sobbing. You can see it on her face. Like huge, uncontrollable sobs. She runs down from her seat and goes to just crush you.
Well, she'll hug and she'll send her a message. No vocal, no somatic. So if she's impressed, you know, we'll just ask her, is everything all right? Why are you crying?
It was him.
What?
It was your father. The priest king called for guidance. And your father came.
And you didn't invite me into the room to see him? Don't you think I should have been in there?
Obviously, Pothinus wasn't going to say anything to you, but it's real. Everything that you've said, everything that you've seen, it's real.
He's been real?
Yes.
Thank
and he
goodness.
Loves you and he still believes in you.
And he believes in peace?
Yes.
How did they just call upon him?
They just asked Zaylar for a sign. We always do it at the end to make important decisions like this. Sometimes it's just an omen or a flash of light or a smell of incense, but it was him.
I wish he was on that throne. I wish he was still alive to be on that throne. And is saying this in messages, obviously.
I wish he was still with us. But he's still protecting us.
It's up to me to protect Brontha. Us to protect Brontha and
us.
Ioth Academy.
You're not alone. You don't ever have to be alone ever again, okay?
Thank you.
And unless you have anything else, that seems like our ending. Fantastic. Okay. Hell yeah. Then I'll see you next Wednesday, right?
Yeah.
I have all these extra shows. My brain is starting to lose track of everything. I will see you next Wednesday. If you're watching, you will see Crowan tomorrow and Leg Day on Monday. With more.
Woo.
Yeah. It's going to be fun. Bye, everyone.
Yay. Bye.